everybody, and welcome to Backline EQ. It's me, the F Bomb, and here we're going to have a little chat. Episodes are going to be with interviewees and guests, and other times it's going to be hot topic conversations about things that live gigging musicians can usually relate to in one way or another. It doesn't mean that it is, the way things are for you. It just is my opinion based upon the years of gigging that I've done. And I'm sure many people can relate. But I want to go on here to say, most of this is going to be my opinion. You can share your opinion in the comment box, but please be respectful. And just to remind you, please make sure that you like and subscribe. Tell your friends about Backline EQ and let them know that, we're coming around. We're going to be making some stops. And I hope that I'll see you and meet some of you out there when I'm out and about checking out my venues that I want to highlight and showcase. Anyway, so don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends. And we're going to get into this hot topic conversation right about now. So today's hot button topic is going to be the, this one comes up a lot. And, but I do think it needs to be addressed because sometimes I'm seeing it being used as a security blanket on stage. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring it up right now. And that is the use of music stands on stage. Now, in this situation, music stand is going to be a music stand with written words out on a piece of paper or a book, or it can be an iPad or an iPhone that you use to get the lyrics that you haven't memorized. Now, let's go back here a second. I realize that sometimes we are learning music really fast, sometimes off the cuff, within a few days, because maybe you're working for somebody that requested a certain song. I get it. That's different. However, I'm talking about the use of binkies. That's what I'm going to call this, is the binky. So it doesn't matter what it is you're using. Is it effective? Not really. It's only effective in making sure that you have the words that you want in front of you. I'm going to take these headphones off because they're driving me crazy. So when it comes to the binky, I'm going to confess here, I have used the binky, and I remember seeing a little bit of video of me with the binky, which was a music stand and, a couple sheets of paper. Now, I'm old school. I still use, excuse me, I still use a paper set list. It's just me, though. Most of the time, it is because I have cheater words on the set list for a specific song, because for whatever reason, and I think a lot of singers can relate to this, we have an issue with sometimes the intro of the song is coming on. Here it comes. We're about ready to step up to the mic and we cannot remember the words, the first few words. That's a scary thing. And sometimes, at least for me, on most occasions, when that's happened, I have been able to find it the minute I was supposed to start. I don't know why that is. However, I found myself saying, you know what, I think I want to have a couple lyrics there just to get me, just to kick it off. So I'm starting off on the right foot. However, there was a point in time when I was using it because we were learning music so fast that I just couldn't keep the lyrics. It's different. Let me just go back here. For guitarists, on your set list, if you want to write the chord progressions, that's fine. Those chord progressions usually follow each other, and you have a couple of changes, and then you go back to the melody. With lyrics, a lot of times I can't even imagine doing a Nickelback song because there's so many damn lyrics. But you're trying to put together these lyrics in your head. Now, I've been known to not have a binky and get the verse 2 and 3 mixed up, crossed over with one another. That's different. I mean, I don't think most people, are skewering vocalists for getting the verses wrong. I mean, we might rib each other about it afterwards, but generally speaking, so long as you're able to say the words. Um, I have personal history with an old friend we used to play with. He's no longer with us, but if he didn't know the words, he didn't even phonetically try. He just mumbled them through. And of course, that was the big joke is, mumbling them through doesn't really help the situation. But at least if you phonetically trip over the words, you might be able to hide some of it from the audience. So, with that being said, though, a music stand in front of you, an iPad stand in front of you, your phone being there ends up becoming something that you are so used to that you can't get rid of. And what happens is, as a musician, you find yourself unable to peel yourself away from that because you've now practiced with the binky and you still need the binky because the binky is a part of your rehearsals. And now you can't find yourself the will to go on stage without the binky. And there's a few different things that happens when you use a binky like that. And we're going to go over those too. So what happens when you use a binky on stage? Well, it is a distraction for you. And the other thing that happens is that you miss out on the energy return that you get from the audience, provided that you have the energy to look up from your binky. Some people have such talent, but yet they're afraid to be on stage. They have a stage fright to a degree that they don't want to look at the audience. So sometimes you'll see people wear sunglasses or something like that on stage. But if you're not wearing sunglasses and you're looking at this book or iPad, you're missing out on something that could be very energetic for you as a performer. Obviously, when we go to perform, and I've heard this said many times, you have to have an ego to get up on the stage. And I'm not saying it has to be a fluffed up ego, but you have to have an ego strong enough to go on stage and be willing to put yourself out there. So why not do it in a way that's going to set you apart from others? And when I say set you apart, the use of electronics is getting, from what I understand. Now, I don't want to say that this is across the board. It's becoming second nature. I mean, it's just like any other thing. If you don't use the phone numbers in your phone and you just let your phone memory do it, well, you're never going to know those phone numbers. I'm guilty of that. But let's just say that you're on stage singing and the crowd loves the song and you're all into it. The solo's hot and now you've got to go back to your microphone stand or iPad stand so you can see what the next verse is. And let me tell you, unless you have those fonts kicked up a notch or two, you're not going to be able to see them as well as you might otherwise. And so now you're squinting, and it's going to be very obvious that you're reading. So it just takes away from the carefree nature that playing music is supposed to present. And why not go, untethered? That's my feeling. Go untethered. Again, if you're learning a song, if you're the kind of band that's playing a wedding every other week and you have to learn a few different songs per request, then you're gonna have to do it. You may have to, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Those sorts of audiences aren't there to skewer, the bands for using something like that. They're not there to care about that sort of thing. Where you find this is in venues where a weekend where some of your musician peers may come and see you. And now you've got your big book in front of you or you've got your iPad and you're going back and forth to make sure that you've got yourself covered. That takes away from the freedom that music can bring to you on stage. And I think many of us, especially those of us that have been around a minute, which I like to consider well seasoned. That's the word I like to use, is well seasoned. Which I am. I'm okay with that. Um, we see newcomers, and we can see some of the things that we may have done when we were first starting out. And I'm trying to tell you, set yourself apart from the other newcomers, do it differently. I can tell you that some of your more seasoned peers are going to look at you with a little bit more respect if you are not hanging on to charts and lyrics and putting them up on stage as part of the stage set. I think that makes you, as a newbie, stand above and beyond some of the others that have been reliant upon karaoke or rocksmith or rock band to get you through the song. So let's go over a couple of things that we can do to do better at this. Now, again, to my more seasoned, counterparts, I know that this is probably something that you're rolling your eyes at because you don't do it. However, I have seen folks that aren't as new at singing in front of people still using them. And with the utmost respect, some of the better vocalists that I know, they they become too reliant on it, and I am waiting for the day that that vocalist, spreads their wings and just flies away from that thing, because once that happens, baby, look out. They're going to be a force to reckon with. They already are to some degree. That's what's holding them back. So I say that so that these next few things can be of use to those of you that may have become binky addicts. There is support for you, and it's right here in the form of the F bomb. Anyway, I have a dedicated notebook that I write out lyrics, and I might write the entire song out the first time I hear it, and then I go back and I play it again, and I'll write out the first few words of each line with ellipsis, and then maybe, if there's a word that throws me, I'll throw that word, in there, so that way I'm not writing out the entire thing again and again. I'll tell you what, though, I will if I have to. I will write that song out word by word if that's what it takes for me to remember it, because I don't want to be re- reliant upon that book. So write it out in full, and then I start chopping it down, and then I keep chopping it down. And as the song's playing in the background as I'm writing it, I'm singing it. I'll stop it, and then I'll test myself. Can I get, yes, okay, I know what those lines are right there. From there, now I might put the karaoke version on, because practice is different than rehearsal. So practice, boys and girls, is something you do on your own. Practice is something you should do whenever your time permits. And I know everybody's got a lot of things that eat the time. Practice is what you do on your own. So you might go karaoke, or you might even just sing along with the song, but you're just using the page as a guide. You're not standing there looking at it. Okay. After that, each successive time you sing it, you should be less inclined to use that piece of paper. Now we get to rehearsals. With rehearsals, I- myself, I expect that I will not use the paper or book um, more than absolutely necessary. And a lot of times, when you get to rehearsal, the band might be only 80%, if you want to say 80% complete on that song. So, there's some wiggle room in there. But as a vocalist, or as another musician that uses charts on a regular basis, the goal is to remove the binky during rehearsal. So I don't know about you guys, but when we would learn a new song, we'd probably play it about 5 times in a row. And usually by the time the fifth time was over, we all had a good grip. We might have needed, a little fine tuning on the solo, or maybe a couple tweaks in there. But the idea is now you're ready to play the song without your binky. And by the time, your rehearsals have come and gone before the gig, you should be ready to go without that piece of paper, without that lyric sheet, or iPhone, iPad on the stage with you. Now, there are some times when you take a song that's very wordy and it can throw you for a loop. That's going to happen. It's going to happen where you're just going to have to phonetically stumble over the words until you can get it right. Generally speaking, though, most people, if you recognize that you're stumbling and can joke about it amongst yourselves, your peers, your bandmates and such, it's going to go over a lot easier than if you are red-faced and, completely flustered up on stage. People don't expect you to be perfect, especially if you're at the corner bar, playing a honky-tonk song that by the time they hear it, they're half in the bag anyway. So there you have it. A little extra advice just for those that have maybe gotten to the point where they're, binky addicted and they just need a little push to move away from it. And it's not judgment in any way, shape, or form. What it is comes from a loving place so that you can be a better performer, whether you're singing, playing saxophone, guitar, you name it. Take away the binky so that you can enjoy the ride. Because I'll tell you what, playing in a band, performing in a band, leading in a band, to me, there's nothing like it. Doesn't get old. It doesn't matter where I'm playing. It could be, in a dive bar somewhere or a stadium. And yes, I can claim that I have performed in a stadium. So either way, it is something that I love to do. I miss doing it. But I would never be able to get to experience if I was looking at a pad somewhere. So I encourage you, ditch it, try a couple of things, just get away from it and take the leap. Get rid of it on stage when you're out gigging. But first do it at rehearsals. If you rehearse without it, you'll be able to do it on stage otherwise. I hope you enjoyed this hot button topic. There will be others. And if you have some suggestions for a hot button topic, send it to my email, as you'll see along in the link, and we'll get that on there. But in the meantime, I want you guys to, rock on, rock out, and I'll see you at the next gig. Take care, everybody. Bye now. I want to take a second to recognize a band out of Cleveland that I came across during my Facebook group shuffles when it comes to music, band, jams, gigs, whatever. This band is called High Early. And I just so happened to come across them and clicked on their Spotify link. They have, I believe, 7 or 8 songs EP on Spotify. And I have to say that I really like them and I think that they're worth a listen. So, High Early out of Cleveland, Ohio. Go ahead and take a listen on Spotify. And if you can find them on Facebook, go ahead and give them a like and a follow so that way you can check them out the next time they're in town. All right, you guys, peace out. Keep on rocking. This is the F-Bomb reminding you that you're never too old for rock and roll. So don't stop rocking, keep on rolling, and join me at the next gig here on Backline EQ.